Yeah, thank you, and good afternoon. This is a great honor. I'm so pleased to join you from the beautiful campus of Our Lady's University in the United States, University of Notre Dame. So I'm Dutch. I grew up in the Netherlands, which explains the strange extra J in my first name. So you can think of me as the guy with a J too many. I've lived in the United States for 23 years now. I wanted to start also by thanking Eutimio Tiliakos, hope I say that right, the Secretary General for the Santissimus Annus Pro Pontifice Foundation, for inviting me to participate in this important international conference. I will address the role of business schools in shaping the future of the human economy by first presenting three closely related central themes from Laudato Si and Catholic social teaching, and then linking these to our vision of business, and more specifically to the role of business schools in contributing to a sustainable and ethical society. And lastly, I will give you a practical example of these principles in action at our business school. I'm convinced that business schools have a critical role to play in establishing a sustainable society, because the essential role of a business school is to develop future business leaders who will make decisions that have a powerful impact on society. Therefore, business schools have a responsibility to educate our young people to be servant leaders who see business as a vocation from God, putting their talents towards the service of others. As stated in Laudato Si, and I quote, "Business is a noble vocation directed to producing wealth and improving our world. It can be a fruitful source of prosperity for the areas in which it operates, especially if it sees the creation of jobs as an essential part of its service to the common good." End quote. Let's consider how business becomes a noble vocation. I will start with the three main themes of Laudato Si, link those to the three pillars of Catholic social teaching more broadly, and then share our vision of business at Notre Dame. These are, I think, the three main themes in Laudato Si that I take away from the encyclical. First, all of creation is a gift, and a gift that has a social or a shared purpose. Second, everything and everyone in the world is connected, where our personal flourishing depends on having flourishing relationships with God, with others, and with our natural environment, where all of these relationships are, of course, interconnected. And third, the healing of our current crisis requires our personal response, our personal conversion, right, by the grace of God. Or to quote Laudato Si, "It is we human beings above all who need to change." We can link these three themes in Laudato Si to what I think of as the three pillars or key principles of Catholic social teaching. Number one, the principle of every person's infinite intrinsic human dignity, derived from being made in the image and likeness of God. Number two, the principle of solidarity, including a preferential option for the poor. And three, the principle of subsidiarity, which comes from a Latin word subsidium, right, which means help, in social environments where we help each other to develop integrally without interfering with one another's freedom and creativity. These three themes and three pillars give rise to our vision of business, which consists of another triad, of course, namely what I call the three shared P's, letter P: the shared purpose, the shared priority, and the shared practice of business. I'd like to illustrate these three shared P's using this famous Japanese work of art called The Great Wave. This great wave represents our current environment, also the competitive, challenging, dynamic environment of business. And if the waves are that big, you need a compass, something outside yourself and outside business that you can chart your course by. In the print, that is represented by the second element, Mount Fuji, rising in the background. For us, and for education, our compass needs to be our Lord, who provides us with directions for life through the gospel, through the teachings of the church, and the example of the saints. The three small boats in the foreground are an analogy of a business corporation. Together they form a fleet, interdependent on one another, with a shared purpose to arrive at their common destination together. And these three boats illustrate the three shared P's in the following way. First, the shared purpose of business is to contribute to integral human development or human flourishing in a way that integrates material, social, and spiritual flourishing, using the social teachings of the church as our compass. Second, The shared priority of business is to cooperate with all stakeholders in solidarity, where the sharing of priorities in solidarity means that you are willing to make someone else's priorities one's own. In the print, everyone in these boats is also responsible for everyone else in their boat as well as the other boats. Solidarity is necessary to be successful in the shared purpose of arriving at a common destination. Third, the shared practice of business is to compete with excellence, both externally in the marketplace, also to ensure economic sustainability, and internally, competing internally through providing a social environment characterized by subsidiarity, in which each person can grow or compete internally towards the best version of themselves. And these three aspects are closely connected. For example, why would you be willing to make someone else's priorities your own, or to cooperate in solidarity? A good reason to do so is the recognition that you have a shared purpose, which can be as simple as seeing our shared human nature or one another's intrinsic dignity. This is the vision of business that we present to our students, where we translate these three shared P's into another triad of the three C's, the letter C, to contribute, to cooperate, and to compete. So we want our students to contribute to a shared purpose, to the common good, to cooperate by sharing priorities in solidarity, and to compete in a shared practice of subsidiarity. And all of these three are necessary, but we hope that they contribute, cooperate, and compete in that order. The temptation in a market economy is to invert that order and to focus mainly on successfully competing. The danger then is that business contributes only in ways that are directly rewarded in the market, rather than with solidarity and in sustainable ways, which the market doesn't always recognize. If everything is about competition, then the people who can compete the best may benefit at the expense or the exclusion of others. Competition in markets bring many advantages, but markets generally do not care much about solidarity, for example. In a digital economy, this temptation to invert the order is even stronger, as digitization often makes it harder to see the person behind the data, behind the technology. Information technology can put other persons at a greater distance, making it more difficult to recognize our responsibilities to others. Cooperation and solidarity require commitment, and technology often makes it easier to not commit to others, to exit in times of crisis. Going back to the image of the wave, those who can best use technology can most easily exit the boats in the picture when the storms come and leaving the others behind. Instead, the right order of contribute, cooperate, and compete requires that business leaders have faith, love, and hope. Faith to see how to contribute to the common good, to see the common good. Love to prioritize solidarity and one's social responsibility. And hope to overcome obstacles, including our selfishness, our self-centered fears. We can then apply these principles and this vision to business education, where I'm again centering my thoughts around another triad, of course, namely an integrated business curriculum, an emphasis on teamwork, and a supportive social environment. First, an integrated business curriculum means a curriculum where the business disciplines, like marketing, finance, accountancy, are integrated with a Christian humanistic perspective on the one hand, and with technology, analytics, or data science on the other. Traditionally, each of those three parts of this triad, business, the humanities, and data science, has been taught in a siloed way by different schools in the university. But without a Christian humanistic perspective, business can easily forget its social responsibility. And as we now live in a world of big data and technology, the new language of business is analytics and coding. Therefore, data science must also be integrated into the business curriculum with a humanistic perspective. Second, an emphasis on teamwork and social responsibility is key. Being a good team player requires a willingness to consider the needs of others, which is a key part, of course, of solidarity. And in real-world settings, we emphasize the responsibilities of business towards the most vulnerable people and the environment. A final goal is to be a strong community of holistic formation, where our students are supported, challenged, and invited to discern their vocation in light of their faith. This involves helping them to see and to develop all of the gifts they have received and to see how they share their gifts with others. And then, as I promised, I will end up with a practical illustration of this vision of business, where we, I think, as a business school, are at our best. I want to tell you about a remarkable program started at Mendoza 12 years ago by Professor Viva Barktes, called the Meyer Business on the Frontlines program, which is a central part of our MBA program. And you see some pictures of this program. In the Frontlines program, our MBA students work in teams to consult with partner organizations serving vulnerable populations all over the world. They use their business skills in the context of society issues such as post-conflict rehabilitation, poverty, and illicit economies. Professor Barks's underlying philosophy is that we should never underestimate the human dignity associated with a good day's work, particularly for those who have come through conflict or deep poverty. Frontlines teams have worked in over 20 countries on more than 50 projects, ranging from women-led manufacturing in Palestine to family farming in North Macedonia, to figuring out how to get a 9-foot-long prehistoric fish to the market in the Amazonian rainforest. By one estimate, as many as 10,000 people now earn livelihoods in jobs arising from the Frontlines program. The central experience in the course is an immersion where our students travel to spend a couple of weeks in the field with their partner organization and, most importantly, with the people that the partner is serving. I myself had the opportunity to travel to Colombia early in 2020, just before COVID, to spend some time with our Frontlines team helping ex-FARC combatants integrate back into society. It was so beautiful and inspiring to see how committed these ex-FARC combatants were to peace and reconciliation, their devotion to their families, and how open they were to meeting these strange visitors from afar. The course in general requires a radical openness to the other, a humble willingness to learn from the other, and helps to form a servant heart. We recently expanded the Frontlines program to include Frontlines in America, where teams work in communities such as the south side of Chicago, very close to our campus, that are dealing with poverty, violence, crime, and despair. So Frontlines is a journey of discovery for our students. They travel to places and people that are foreign to them. They meet with people who are different and eat at their tables. And then they begin to understand what it is to be the other, to have different values and different ways of life, and yet to share what Professor Barks calls our common ground, our shared humanity and our shared hope for a better future through sustainable economies. In Frontlines, we bring together Catholic social teaching and business in an applied way. I think that's the essence of the role of the business school, to teach our students to contribute, cooperate, and compete for the good of others, especially the most vulnerable, by the help of God and others. I'll close with this. 100 years ago, our founding dean, the Reverend John Cardinal O'Hara, explicitly charged the University of Notre Dame Business School to be a force for good. Of course, Mendoza is far alone in this mission. We are increasingly seeing this charge made to business across the world, including the United Nations Prime Initiative and the Sustainability Development Goals. Catholic social teaching, including the great social encyclicals like Verum Novarum, Satismus Annus, Laudato Si, and the most recent Fratelli Tutti, has much to teach business leaders on how to contribute, cooperate, and compete with respect to the human dignity of all, with solidarity and subsidiarity, with faith, love, and hope. If any of you wish to engage with me further on the topic, please get in touch. It's a real passion of mine, and I'm most grateful for this opportunity and your time today. Thank you.